Over there?
No. So the Austin Country Club was a former home of the Dell Match Play. So the Masters, the history of the Masters golf tournament is Bobby Jones founded the club. I believe Alistair McKenzie designed the course, but I'd have to go back and double check that. But the club was set up just as an upper end private club, and obviously it's in Augusta, Georgia. And then they wanted to host a tournament to bring the best players in the world together, and that was the beginning of the Masters. And so it's always been played there at Augusta National.
Bucket list place to visit, by the way.
Yes.
I've been there. I've driven through there.
Okay.
And,
see, I haven't been to Augusta at all.
Yeah.
So I would settle for driving through Augusta.
It's a great time. I stopped at a couple sports bars, and so I'm saying I've never been to the course.
Yeah.
But I know the city. I've been in the city during the tournament, and it's exciting. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I know I'll have more when I finally go to the course. But wow, I mean, the whole city. I mean, no one in the city, like, they're not haters. They embrace it. They're proud of it. I remember I ran into a couple golf teams. Some lower guys that I didn't know. But hey, I mean, if you're invited and you're playing, God bless you, brother.
There's an Augusta University. And Augusta University has actually won a national championship before. Patrick Reed, who now plays on the Live Tour, played at Augusta College, at Augusta University. So they are. They are a. And I don't know. I wonder if they ever get to play on the course. I mean, just every once in a while, just get to head over to. play the track, but it is one of the obviously we talked about it being a major, but it's one of the best watches for televised golf, in that because of the stature, the money. Look, let's face it, this is a very upper crust country club, right?
Yes, it is.
Condoleezza Rice is a member there. I mean, it is nothing but corporate CEOs and political bigwigs, and you've got very, very deep pockets. And it's one of these places where you don't ask what the initiation fee is. They just send you a bill at the end of the year, and you write a check. And the check doesn't hurt your bank account even. So
you got to ask. You can't afford it.
Exactly. So, but because of that, the Masters has certain rules for the television, which is only 4 minutes of commercials every hour.
I never noticed that.
Yes, 56 minutes of golf every hour is what they mandate. So you can certainly count on the fact that you will get to see a lot of golf when you tune into a Masters tournament. So just a little behind the scenes there.
One other little thing. So that's genius, by the way. Whether they intended it or not. One, they're taking care of the customer. They're giving it to us. But what they're also doing is now making that 4 minutes of premium, just like the Super Bowl.
Correct.
And so it'll always be a bidding war.
Yep.
To capture one of those 4 minute to be a part of that 4 minute television ad break.
Yeah.
So that's genius. Did you guys see Harrison Barnes hit the game winner against the Warriors?
Yeah, sure.
Isn't that some nice get back? I mean, they let you go. You go around the league. What team was that he's on now?
And Spurs.
So he's with the Spurs now, and because it hurts. It hurts to get discarded. So he went to Dallas, right?
He went to
come to Dallas after he left there.
So the Mavericks made a move to bring him to Dallas.
Yep.
Then let him go to Sacramento.
Okay. Yep.
And I guess he was with Sacramento for 4 years, and now he's with San Antonio.
So I think he came over in the De'Aaron Fox trade.
Yeah.
I think that's when he came over.
Too.
And so to knock them down, so they got to head towards the play-in. That's some nice get back. That was a great moment.
It was a smooth jumper he took too. Oh my gosh.
And I like that his team knew. The Spurs knew what that meant to him. Shout out to the coach though to say, hey, you're you're going to get that shot. I mean, they're devoid of the superstar out there. You know, Chris Paul, De'Aaron Fox, but now Harrison, you can take the shot.
Yeah.
We'll give it to you. So that feels good. I want to know one other little thing. Are you sensitive when it comes to that, Travis? If you're a player and you get kicked off of a dynasty like that, would you personally be sensitive?
I think for the most part, and I think I would be this way as well. I think there's always going to be a sensitivity for you.
Okay.
But you also know it's a business, so you're accepting of it, and you just know that you just happen to be the one who got unluckily shuffled out. But yeah, there's always going to be that in the back of your mind, and like I don't think like if you sat down and talked to Harrison Barnes, tell me, you like hate the Warriors? He's going to tell you, no, I don't hate the Warriors. But I wouldn't mind hitting a game-winning shot against them every once in a while. You know, that's. Yeah. I think that's kind of the feeling, right? It's like, you know, that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah. I mean, famously, the number he wears on his jersey is all the teams that passed on him.
It's 28.
He knows exactly how.
I think that's the only reason we all know his number is because he carries it.
It's and he's not the only one that's done stuff like that over the years. There are players who can name every team that has passed on them in order, and you know, so at the end of the day, do you have hatred or you just have motivation? And I think that's what it turns into a lot of times, just a little motivation, a little bit more extra when I play these teams as opposed to anybody else.
So Jamal, I want to ask you, if you were on the relay team, and I want to give you both sides. If you were on the relay team, the 4x1, I'll just say that because that's the glamour one. If you were on the 4x1 and then they asked you to step to the side, or if you're an individual guy, because in my mind you're an individual. I'm sorry because I know you probably did do some, but in my mind you were only the hurdle guy.
No, I did the relays as well.
Okay, so then if you're the individual guy and you're like, man, they never really asked me to do 4x1. I wonder what that's about. Yeah. Would you be sensitive?
I was hurt for my freshman year because I was faster than like two of the people that were on the relay at the time, and I knew I was faster than, but I just didn't get asked at the time because I think because of the fact I was doing hurdles, one, and the fact that I was slim. Like, I didn't look like I had any muscle on me, right? And I think the sprinter coach at the time kind of held that against me just a tiny bit. Oh. So, but now if I would have known those guys are actually, okay, they're actually faster than me, they can put together a good relay, you know, I would understand, you know. Like,
I've always wondered, like, when we go, like big international events, right? The World Championships and the Olympics and things like that, it's essentially a team of 6. Yeah. And your top 2 sprinters aren't going to run the prelims.
That's facts.
But there's going to be 2 guys who probably were 4th in the 100 and 4th in the 200, something like that. Yeah. That they'll run those prelims, and then they back away when they get to the finals. And I'm assuming, you know, it probably stung. You were just outside the top 3, so you didn't make the team in the 100. You're just outside. So now you feel like, I always wondered, do they feel like there's a throwaway, or do they feel like, hey, I'd rather run against elite people and be in this class somewhere. Even if I'm in the back of the class, I want in the classroom.
Yeah. I think they kind of changed the rule, though. Like, the alternates get medals, too. Like, if you win. I think I've seen that before. Like, so it's like, did you really lose?
Right, because I know the young man out of Maryland, his name Quincy Williams Wilson.
Wilson.
Okay,
Williams is the football player. My fault.
The 16-year-old, right?
And he got a gold medal, even though they took him out of the prelims and he didn't run in the final. And he just got beat the other day.
He sure did.
On the anchor leg.
Oh, did he
Another
really?
guy. The guy let him lead. Kind of drafted, let him shoot a shot, and then coming around that final turn and down the straightaway, put it in. And then so you always get everyone's best shot because you're an Olympic champion. Right. And that hurts. Yeah. That hurts because you're, okay, got it, bro. You got it. I don't win everything.
The dude that beat him, his split was a 45-1-6. There were grown men that came and do that. I'm telling you, they're going to start drug testing these high schoolers, man. But
he looked like a grown man in comparison to Quincy. He was so big and muscular, and I'm shocked he could run so good.
That was the thing about Quincy at the Olympics is he looked like a child running against men. And that's obviously no disrespect to his talent, and obviously what other sprinters, sprint coaches, Team USA, they see in him. His body at 16 and when he gets to 22 are going to look completely different.
Sheesh.
And as long as the young man keeps working hard, he's probably going to just keep ticking those times down. But that was the most shocking thing to me, and it wasn't shocking in that we know that these people, the sprinters, I mean, really, Olympic athletes in general are probably at their peak physical condition.
Yeah.
But grown man muscles versus kid muscles, those are real.
Yes, it is.
Sometimes we get snowed over by a LeBron James that looks at 17 and 18 like he should be playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
The majority don't look like that.
Wait, we waited a whole lifetime to get another man-child in Zion Williamson.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I don't really remember someone else. Greg Oden was after LeBron, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, he's come and gone during that LeBron tenure.
Wow, Greg Oden. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
haven't heard that name in a minute.
Yeah. Well, you were a youngin.
Yeah.
But for us, it was like big news.
Ohio State. They lost to Florida in that championship, right?
Oh, that was who they lost to?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Sheesh. Hey, I went to college down in Florida, guys.
Of course you did.
And I used to go to Gainesville quite often. It was just about an hour's drive from my campus. And I went to a smaller school. I was an NAIA, that track guy. I think I told you. But I used to go there a lot. And guys, if you didn't know, Gatorade, listeners, was made at the University of Florida. And they just did an advertisement. And they're doing the Gator chop that they do. You take your two hands and you slam them together. And it just says Gator made. How about that?
That's fine.
You don't need to say anything else.
And the professor that came up with it, doctorate from University of Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
Of course Travis would know that. That is so cool. I did not know that.
Yes.
Well then, crap, man. The Longhorns don't get any love, right? Like it's just...
Hey, I mean that's where he went to work.
That's where he was working.
Exactly. They're going to hold on to it, but...
so why didn't Texas hire him, Travis? You should know the answer.
Hey, I don't know the answer to that.
Texas aid.
Yeah. You got to go where the job is at. Wow, that's cool, Travis. I didn't know that. Travis, I want to ask you one other quick thing while we're on this topic. We're going to come back to Luka. We got to get to Luka. But Travis, I got to know, I hear that certain guys ask for their tribute video in advance so that it doesn't soften them up, emotion isn't shown. Would you ask for it in advance, or would you want it to hit you at the moment?
That's an interesting question. It's kind of interesting to think about in this case as well, because there was debate up until the day of will there be a tribute video?
No, Travis, come on.
Well, the thought process was that the Mavericks may come out and say, look, we made the deal this year. We traded him away.
Yeah.
We're going to celebrate him next year sometime, but we're going to let this game be in and of itself this game.
Okay.
And we'll do a tribute next year when the Lakers come back. There was some discussion that they would do that. And mainly the discussion was because the wound is fresh. And,
yes.
And we know that not only is there, obviously fan animosity, discontent with the front office, especially Nico Harrison and his general manager position. But also there was some talk about, would it be better for Luka even to not do that, because we did see what actually happened was he was in tears watching it.
I'm so glad he asked for that towel, because it would have been some tear-stained cheeks the entire time. Travis, I like what you said there, that it's still a fresh wound. It's so fresh, Travis. The shirt is still sticking to that sucker. You know how it is when you got that? It's still sticking. You got to pull it off every now and then because it's just sticking to it.
Yep.
Are you still in pain? We want to check on you. Are you okay, brother? Or this is still
So
an upset for your life.
So if you sort of go through what have been my stages of grief, I've kind of gone through the roller coaster ride. Yes, it still hurts. It still hurts to watch him. I'll watch Luka in a Laker uniform. Being someone who grew up a Mavericks fan and had the Lakers turn us away in the 80s when we actually became a good team.
Oh, that team, boy.
Derek Harper and Rolando Blackman and Mark Aguirre and all that. And, had a chance in a Game 6 with a tie ball game. And, Derek Harper thought we were ahead by 1 and dribbles out the clock and ended up going to overtime and then lose Game 7. But, so we were so close back then that it's really tough. Like, I can't. I'm not just I don't just cheer for a jersey, right? Essentially what I want is Luka to go out there and score 50 every night and the Lakers to lose. That's the best way I can kind of sum that up, right? Yeah. I just can't cheer for the Lakers, but I have no problem cheering for Luka.
Yeah.
But I've kind of gone through on the Mavericks side of it. I'm back to where I'm cheering for the players that are here and on the court, whether it be Anthony Davis or Derek Lively or P.J. Washington or whatever.
Yeah,
they didn't make this deal. This is not their deal. They're just basketball players, man, and they're at the behest of whatever the deal the teams make. Anthony Davis had to waive a no trade clause to make this happen, which tells me that when they did come to him and whatever they told him about the transaction, we had heard rumors that the Lakers had essentially told him, we don't have any other big men, you're playing the 5 position for us, and he wanted to play the 4. And so he probably saw this as an opportunity to go, they got Gafford and Lively. They got the 5 taken care of. Yep. I get to be the 4. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good. He probably said, I know Nico Harrison. I think this is probably going to work out pretty well for me, so I'm going to try this. So I've got no animosity anywhere there, and I can cheer for the team on the court. But 100%, and it will always be as long as he's there, I want Nico Harrison to lose his job. Mm-hmm. He has changed on his own the course of the franchise that, in my estimation, was not only the worst deal in the history of NBA or however you want to phrase it, but it fractured the entire franchise and fan base.
Yes, it did.
Continuum. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now, I say that, and here's the other part. There's always what I want to happen. Like, I would love to hear today that he was fired. But there's always a part of me that says, yeah, but that lets him off the hook.
You want him to feel this.
I want him to feel it.
You want him to hear those chants.
I want him.
Okay, Travis.
I want him to feel losing the first play-in game and they're done.
Yeah.
After he told us that we'd win a title easier by having Anthony Davis than having Luka.
Do you remember my conspiracy theory when this started? That I was saying this was their way, the ownership who lives out of town, that family, and this was their way of fracturing and being able to leave Dallas and take it to Vegas. Mm-hmm. Travis, just answer my conspiracy theory before you throw something at me from across the studio.
Yeah.
If they weren't happy, Travis, come on. They would have fired him. We just had a NBA championship winning coach get fired 3 games before the end of the season. Come on, bro. They would have let him go. They're aggressive business people. They would have let him go. So what's your answer to that? And don't worry, you won't offend me or make me mad.
No.
Say it's stupid.
My answer to that is you have a general manager who is a sports executive but has and had made some deals that had worked out when he was alongside Mark Cuban.
Yes.
Got this idea in his head that Luka doesn't work hard enough and needs to make a move. Mm-hmm. And he goes to his new owner, who is a gaming and casino guy and has business sense, and talked him, whatever his spiel was, talked him into, we get Anthony Davis, we're the best defensive team in the league. We'll have Kyrie Irving leading this team. PJ Washington can score. We got plenty of offense. We jump from being the fourth or fifth team with Luka to being the second or third best team because of our defense with this guy. So I'm talking you into this, and it's going to be, don't worry about it. Because of that, we're going to win a title. We're going to make a lot of money. You think right now, here's my argument of why you should fire him now or coming up very soon.
Yes.
Do you think the ownership group looks at what's happening out there now and thinks that this is a great business decision?
But see,
I mean, I look in the stadium. I don't see a lot of Anthony Davis Mavericks jerseys out there.
Yeah. That's true.
I see a lot of Luka Doncic Lakers jerseys,
and I still see a lot of Luka Dallas jerseys.
Exactly.
Yeah. I still feel like, again, maybe this is what they want. How about this though? He is the guy that had Brunson and Luka and let them both go. Didn't keep them both together.
Yeah.
Isn't that the biggest travesty?
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, this is Mark Cuban talked the other day, and Mark Cuban has been, honestly, I think it's a little funny. Mark Cuban still has ownership in this group.
Yeah, just not the majority, not more than 50%.
Exactly. I think reports put it in the 20%, somewhere between 20 and 28%, depending on who you talk to. He got $3.5 to $4 billion for his 70+% ownership, and so he's got what's left, right? So he's still part of the ownership team. He's just not part of the leading operations. He's now a silent owner or a background owner or whatever you want to call him. Yet he's going on podcasts essentially saying, I would have never done this. I told him not to do it.
Yeah.
This is the worst trade in NBA history. I'm a little surprised that somehow the DeMont family hasn't come to him and gone, hey, shut up. I wonder if there's something there.
I know we're up against it.
All right, we need to get to a break. Come back on the other side. We can finish up some of this if we want to. Major League Baseball, college basketball. Got a lot to talk about right here. KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent alongside Douglas Washington and Jamal January. We do have, I know, Mr. Oklahoma, we know you're on the line. I will not let Jamal forget about you. I won't forget about you. But we wanted to wrap up one thing that we were talking about with the Mavericks before we get to you, Mr. Oklahoma. So hold tight for just a second. Douglas, you wanted to ask one more thing.
So it's just off of what you said, and if you guys can just give me your quick opinion, I'll talk fast, Mr. Oklahoma. You said the worst trades in NBA history. So I just want to throw two at you and see if you still feel the same way. Milwaukee getting rid of Kareem. I think he was Lou Alcindor at the time. And then, of course, the 76ers getting rid of Wilt Chamberlain, letting him go over to the Lakers. Because I was going to say the Lakers just twice have fleeced an organization because they got Wilt the Stilt and they got Luka. So what would you say about those two, and do you want to just double down on the worst?
Well, I don't know the entire background of both of those deals, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you that I go back. I heard a discussion the other day that was about the worst deal in all of sports, right?
Yeah.
And they say the Babe Ruth trade.
Oh yeah.
From Boston to New York. Now that was in the 20s, obviously. That's a completely different era. But even you talk about Wilt and you talk about Lou Alcindor, Kareem. Those were the 60s, and the finances in the economy were way different. And so this is I know the background of the Babe Ruth trade is that Boston, their owner, needed cash because he was trying to fund a musical that he wanted to.
You got to be kidding me.
No. So
I did not
So
know
they
that.
did not get players back for Babe Ruth. They got cash. He took that cash and he was produced
The
a
phrase,
musical.
I can get it for a song? Is that maybe
Yes.
where that came from?
Yep.
Sheesh. Do you know that phrase?
I
Man, I got it for a song.
Yep.
Wow. Travis, you're dunking and hanging on the rim with that.
So I
That's
don't
awesome.
I don't know the history, and now that you brought those up, I'm going to do some reading to figure out what those were. My guess is it was somehow financially motivated. I mean, you're talking about going from smaller markets for the most part to bigger markets. So I don't know the history. I can tell you that if you want to update it to modern era, we can certainly do that, and I think it makes it pretty cut and dried.
Kobe.
Yeah. So
I was just going into the Army at that time. I was at my first duty station in Korea when Kobe got drafted and then traded, and I was just like, okay, they're gonna get the high school kid. We didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
But sheesh, because that's modern. That's not as modern because you weren't even alive yet. But yeah, that's the one. When you say modern, if I had to go up, I'll say that one.
What about the Deshaun Watson trade to the?
Oh my gosh, that's just painful. Why are you doing that to these listeners? All of our Texas listeners.
Oh, but by the way, guess you see who the Browns signed?
Yep.
Joe Flacco.
1 year. Bring them back.
Like, why?
Or you want to do Mr. Oklahoma?
Yes, Mr. Oklahoma, it's your time. We got to get you on. Mr. Oklahoma, you there?
Yes, I'm finally here. Yes, sir.
Hey, maybe you. Do you know anything about the history of Wilt being traded to the Lakers or Kareem moving to the Lakers? Do you know anything about the background of those? Do you remember those?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Now, I mean, I heard of it, but I didn't pay that much attention of it.
Okay.
I want to talk about guys. I am still hurt from University of Houston,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, let me finish. I'm hurt from the first championship. When the first championship was with Georgetown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and the second championship was with NC State. Now we got this other championship last week with Florida. I'm hurt on all three of them, man. I'm hurt on all three of them. I don't blame you. Only thing I can tell you is y'all got to keep going back until y'all eventually win one. Because they let that game last week slip away. They let it slip away, man.
Yes, they did.
In minutes and seconds.
I wonder if I can ask you, would those Phi Slamma Jamma days hurt more because you guys were in back-to-back championships, and so this is now you're just now getting back to the promised land, but losing in '83 to the Shot, and then again in '84. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but all of them hurt. I'm hurt with U of H, and I'll be hurt with the Cowboys. So. Both of those teams really hurt me, man. I was just hurt last week. Second on the clock, and they let it slip away because when what's his name shot the ball and dropped it, he could not touch it. And I said, man, oh my goodness.
He had two chances at it, Mr. Oklahoma. I instantly felt bad for that kid. I just felt bad for him. The game aside, I just went into, it sucks to be that guy mode. That's what with the first one, and he didn't dribble it off his leg. I mean, it was a great defensive play by that guy from Florida. His name, Richard, I think was his name. It was a great defensive play, and then you got to shoot. You got to let that shot go, brother. If it gets blocked, it gets blocked. And that was a tall guy coming running at you. But, man, I'm a short guy. So all the tall guys want to come over and pack my shot. You just got to put that arc and you got to let it fly. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah. And, I said in University of Houston, they had 7 games. They kind of barely won because, like when it be minutes and seconds on the clock, they kind of start falling apart a little bit. They pass the ball, you shoot the ball. They pass the ball, you shoot the ball. They kind of start falling apart. But it just caught up with them. It just caught up with them, man. You know.
I hear you. Can I give you a positive spin? I just want to give you a little bit of positivity.
Yeah, go ahead.
So since Kelvin Sampson has been there, because 2021 was that blowout to Baylor. But you guys you're back. Houston's back. I think recruiting's going to get good. You're going to keep the local kids because there's a lot of athletes down there in Houston. I think the horizon is it holds a bunch of good wins for Cougar fans. I just want to end with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, if we'd won that game, the recruiting would have got better. Everybody would want to go to U of A.
Yeah, I'd want to go play for that coach because he seems like he gets it. And they
and I like Calvin Sampson. I like it, man. He's a good coach.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Y'all let him go though at Oklahoma. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, it's got to be money wise. You know, I mean, he probably had better recruiting at University of Houston. Because Oklahoma, man, I mean, don't mention them. Because I'm going to tell you, that coach in Oklahoma now, man, I'm going to tell you, I don't care if y'all like him or whoever like him. I don't really care for him. Man.
Did he coach Trey Young, or was he already gone? Anybody remember that?
Trey Young was gone. Yeah, you talking about Calvin Sampson?
Yeah. Was he there when Trey Young was there?
I think he's gone already.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, he was gone already.
Because he's been in Houston 10 years, but he was in Indiana for 3 years.
Oh yeah.
After leaving Oklahoma, so he's been gone from Oklahoma for nearly 15 years.
Sheesh, that long?
Yeah.
I'm old, Mr. Oklahoma.
And you know, Texas A&M, they got a new coach now too. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to switch to college baseball, man. I'm going to tell you, Texas baseball men, they have climbed that pole, boy.
Yeah.
They climbed that pole fast. Because I think they were 23, right, Travis? Was they 23?
Yeah, they were. That's where they started the year.
Yeah. And then they went to what? I think they went to 20 or 21. Then they went to 10. Then they went to 7, 5. Now they're at number 2, tied with Arkansas.
Yep, that's right.
You know,
no one wants to hear us
number
complain.
1.
Yeah, they're number 1. They're 31-3.
Yeah, well, you know, I heard on the news they said it was tied with Arkansas. So, you know, because Arkansas is number 1.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. It is. Of course, now it's a little unfair when you talk about baseball, especially with Oklahoma and Texas moving to the SEC because they traditionally have good baseball programs. But your rankings in college baseball are number 1 Arkansas, number 2 Texas, number 3 LSU. Oof. Clemson comes in at 4. Then you go Tennessee at 5, Ole Miss 6, Georgia 7. So 6 of your top 7 teams in the country are in the SEC. Now, warm weather states. Look, let's
play year round.
I've always been a huge sort of in the background fan of Oregon State.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how they have a great program at Oregon State.
The bubble.
Is that it?
Yeah, the facilities, those bubbles.
Okay.
When I lived in Boston, I was shocked just how amazing it is inside those bubbles.
No.
and I remember snow was on the ground. I was at Boston College, and I was there when Matty Ice was there. So it was a cool time. But yeah, to see guys throwing around now, there is a little drama because everyone wants to get in. Not many schools have all these bubbles, so there is a little competition to get inside. But yeah, I'll just say that's it. But you're right, it's always raining in Oregon. It's always raining. People say Seattle, but yeah, it's horrible up there too.
Yeah, and I wanna ask Mr. January.
Hello.
Yeah, did you see that track meet they had last week in Jamaica?
Yes, the Grand Slam track.
Yeah.
I sure did watch.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you, man. They was winning a lot of money.
They were.
They was winning a lot of money, man.
They were, and it's really good for the sport.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. Like Michael Johnson started up this league, and like it's categorized. I forgot the categories, but it's like long sprints, short sprints, long distance, short distance. There's some more categories with it too. Mm-hmm. But if you win first place, you get $100K.
Oh,
yeah. So each athlete that's a part of each group, you run 2 races. So like the 110 hurdle guys will also run the 100 meter, or the 400 hurdle women will also run the 400 meters. And they do a point system out of those 2 races, and they add them up. And it's like first place gets $100K, second place I think you get like 50 or 60K, but. Yeah, they out there making some money, and there's like people like other athletes challenging them and stuff. It's really good. It's really entertaining because now you got to really throw like strategy into it as well. Because if you burn out, let's say you burn out in one race, you come back to the other one and you get 8th place. There, you just ruined your chances at $100K. You know, so it's really neat. It's on Peacock, y'all.
I was gonna say I want to. Look, Michael Johnson deserves all the credit.
Yeah.
But I want to give a little bit of shine to my boy from Virginia, where I'm from, because I feel like he's also been on the airwaves stirring this up, and maybe he caught the eye of a few sponsors and programmers, because Peacock picking it up, it's official.
Yeah.
And so I think he had a little bit to do with that.
The next track meet is going to be in Miami. I don't know the date, but I can look it up. But,
Hey, you know, that girl UT, man, what's her name? Daniel, what's her name? What's that girl name? The announcer?
Cyan Richards Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went here?
You know she's expecting, don't you?
Yeah, of course I know. I used to.
Yeah, she's expecting, man.
I used to work out with her strength and conditioning coach when I was coming up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hey, man, I'm going to talk with y'all later. I just want to bring it up, you know, but I'm keeping, and the NBA going to come up, man, so I'm keeping my eye on that, see what Lakers going to do.
All right.
See what the Rockets going to do, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'll see y'all.
All right, we appreciate it, Mr. Oklahoma. Thank you very much. 512-836-2887.
That dude gets around, Travis.
He does. He does.
I mean, I want to know what his setup is. The man cave's got to be amazing. He probably goes through more batteries in his remote control than the rest of us. And then lastly, he's probably got... He's got to be... Do you think he's a 1 TV guy or a 2 or 3 TV guy?
Oh no, he sounds pretty old school to me, but I think he watches. I think he probably watches a lot of replays of stuff too. I think he just, because that's one thing about the streaming platforms is it's a lot easier. I mean, we always TiVo and going back to VCRs and things like that, you can record, but streaming makes it easier. A lot of times they just automatically archive that, and you can go back and watch it anytime, even if it's just for 30 days or whatever. You can go back and watch a sporting event pretty much anytime you want.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he's going to call back in and let us know.
Curious.
A couple quick hitters off of some things he brought up. Obviously, Texas, number 2 in the nation.
Yep.
34-4. Of course, Texas dropped their first game of the season against Louisville. And then they've lost 3 other games, right? So 2 of their losses are to UTSA.
What?
And Texas State.
Wow, rivalry games.
Yes. So UTSA, UTSA back on March 18th, one of those midweek games, they lost 8-7 in 12 innings. And then on that Friday, dropped the opening game to then number 2 LSU before winning the next 2 from LSU.
Bobcats call in.
And then Texas State, they played them April 1st and lose 5-3 to Texas State. Now, Texas State's had a little bit of an up and down year. They've had a lot of injuries. They at one point were without their top 2 catchers.
Yeah.
But they have wins now this year over both Texas and Texas A&M. So from a Texas State standpoint, a team that is perennially in the running for the NCAA tournament, got a couple good wins on their resume.
Okay, I have a question for y'all because obviously, some states are known for their sports. Like for football, people look for Texas, Florida, and Cali and Georgia. Basketball, people look at Cali up in New York and maybe sometimes Indiana. For baseball, is there like a specific like state there? Because the reason I'm asking is because you mentioned Texas just lost to UTSA and Texas State, but also like a team like DBU, Dallas Baptist, is like a Division III school, but they play D1 for baseball and they're usually ranked up there. So is there like a state known for baseball?
For a person who's lived outside the state, how we view y'all here, we think y'all about that business on football. Yeah. We don't think of any track stars. Sorry to say that.
What?
I know. We give that to Florida.
Oh, come on.
We think Florida has the football players and baseball. We also think of you guys for baseball.
Okay.
We think of California for football and baseball. And that's how we view Texas. And I'm speaking for, I've lived in the Northeast. I've lived over on the East Coast, down south. I've lived in Florida. I've lived on the West Coast. I've lived Midwest. So I think that's where we kind of see you guys. But I'm shocked whenever I learn something from you guys that a person is from here. I'm like, wow, man, like Texas. Yeah. But y'all got athletes. Like we think Houston and Dallas are just chock full of just they come out the womb ready to put on some track spikes. I mean, that's what we think. Yeah. Y'all got nothing but athletes.
Well, and that's when I think baseball, obviously California, Texas, Louisiana, Florida are the ones that jump to my
Louisiana?
mind.
Yeah, LSU was balling. They would always play against Texas, right? I remember watching that.
Local talent.
Yeah, that's a lot of local talent. There's a lot of baseball played, and the culture of baseball. Like Round Rock has a great high school program. South Texas, you don't realize that South Texas, essentially. You go down Victoria Way, there's a ton of programs down there that are at the 3A, 4A, 5A level that play a lot of Robstown. Robstown used to be in the state tournament, it seems like every year.
Are you talking over by Rio Grande Valley area?
Yeah, okay. Yes. Heading that direction. Now, down in the Rio Grande Valley, they play some good baseball as well.
Okay.
But just north of the valley, between sort of San Antonio and the valley proper, a lot of good baseball played in that region. So.
Okay.
So, Travis, who in Texas has the best pocket, though? Who's got the best pocket of baseball?
Oh, gosh. I would say overall, now, they have more. The numbers of players is a little imbalanced, but I would say it's Central Texas versus the Dallas area is what I would say.
Central Texas, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I would have thought you would have sold out and been a homer, or you were going to go Houston. I didn't know. Okay. Shout out to Central Texas. We're doing it.
Yep. For sure.
I'm impressed. Travis, when do you get excited and start trying to show up? Are you early in the baseball season Longhorn fan, or you start showing up when the weather starts to get a little better? And which one are you?
That's a good question. So I don't go to as many games as I used to of Texas baseball. I wish I had time to go to more. And over time, I'm going to have more time now that my kids are older.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was, they play a midweek game on a Tuesday night, and then you're talking about Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, and you got to do stuff with the family, or you got soccer. I mean, look, you think you have time to go to a Saturday or Sunday game?
I do not.
No, you do not. And I used to be in that same position as you, and so it's just hard to find those games to go to. I would anticipate over the next several years that I will go to more and more games. I probably now, at my age, will skew towards the later in the season games as it gets a little warmer. But I used to schedule my classes when I was at Texas to end at 2 o'clock.
I love where this is going.
Because back then, it was a little bit different, right? Because you didn't have the TV contracts that they have now. And the streaming platforms weren't anything. You got to remember, when I got to Texas in '89, like ESPN.com was just a figment of my imagination. Like, I had never seen it. I had heard of it.
Yeah.
AOL dial-up was a legitimate. So you didn't have streaming of games. And so what a lot of teams would do, especially early in the season up until about, say, mid-March, was all those midday games early in the season were 2 o'clock first pitch. So you could play during the warmest part of the day. That way you weren't there at night for a 7 p.m. first pitch. And so nowadays, like when Texas and Texas State play a Tuesday midweek game, it's like a 6:35 or a 7 o'clock first pitch, no matter when they play, because it's probably going to be on TV or it's going to be streamed, and you get more of an audience to watch if it's at a better time. Whereas there were weather concerns that you were scheduling things for back in the 80s and 90s. Just a little bit different, but to answer your question of when I was in school,
Yeah.
I went to nearly every game.
Oh my God.
I went to nearly every baseball game. All right, so we got a caller on the line, so we're going to jump back into the phones. Hey, caller, you there?
Yes, good morning, y'all.
Hey, Flugerville man, how you doing?
Pretty good. How y'all doing? All right?
Doing well.
Okay. I'd like to talk a little bit about the UConn game. That
I
was
figured
on
you were going to want to talk about that.
I told my wife, I don't care what happened, man, I'm going to have to get on there and say something, man. About yeah. They were shooting three-pointers just like, man, they were shooting three-pointers when they need them, they fall in. And then Sarah Strong, our center, she can shoot three-pointers. So Gino came up with some kind of little ingenious defense, man, not to keep them out of the basket, but to let them think about getting in the basket, man.
So, Fugler, man, before I know you probably got prepared what you want. So the most amazing thing to me about this UConn, and if you want to, I don't know if we want to call it a turnaround during the season. I mean, they had a great season, but they were always sort of thought of as on the outside of Notre Dame and Texas and South Carolina. They were sort of known as, those were the top teams. And then, yes, UConn is still around, but they're 7th, 8th, 9th, something like that. They beat South Carolina twice this year.
Yeah.
By 20-plus points both times. That's utterly amazing to me. I'll let you take back over again.
Oh, okay. All I was going to say about Gino, man, you watch him, he put a little ingenious defense there on their center. Man, why sometimes it would be 3 people, and sometimes it would be 2 people, man, guarding us. And her job mainly was going out on Sarah Strong. Like everybody else, she was popping three-pointers too. So we'll say, what do you do, man? Maybe, just maybe, South Carolina got a little tired. I have to congratulate UConn for the 12 natties. And next year we'll have A.G. Ford coming back and Sarah Strong. So who knows?
Yeah, no, they're gonna be strong, and that's not counting what recruits they will attract.
That's right.
Also, and
now.
I think Gino's gonna take some transfers, just to keep up. But yeah, Sarah Strong looks like she's gonna be the next great, and then so Sarah is the freshman, right? Sarah's a freshman. Okay. And then you're going to get Fudd. Fudd at least has another year.
Yeah.
So, you better watch out. People better beware. That team is going to be amazing. Hey, where do you rank them all time? Is it too early, Pflugerville man, to say that this UConn team is, in the convincing fashion that they've had this season? 37-3. They beat South Carolina twice. Can we say they're one of the better UConn teams of all time?
One of them, but let's wait out and see what happens next year, man. Let's see how they do. So then maybe we can go for number 13.
Golly!
12-1 in finals games is Gino Auriemma. 12-1.
Golly. Was it Don Staley?
Yeah.
The only one
Don Staley.
Only one.
Okay.
Talk about getting a get back.
Yep.
Pflugerville, man, I lived in Connecticut. And Storrs, Connecticut, there ain't nothing out there. Like, you want to go to UConn to play basketball. You're not going there for the city. There's nothing but cows out there. I would love to tell y'all that it's growing. It ain't. So I like that Gino Auriemma can convince people to come. He did it back in the day. and I think he's still going to be able to do that now because he got Sarah Strong there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she had some opportunities. So, hey, what else you got, sir? I don't want to.
Oh yeah, I like to tone in a little bit about this is Masters Week. A lot of us here in Pflugerville will get together and watch the Masters, hoping that Tiger can pull out one more. But this year, Tiger's not going to be there. He has an injury, man.
Yeah.
So we all gather in, man, and watch it and see. Every year, man, you bring something, I bring something.
That's cool.
All right, y'all, let's get on back to work. I had a good time. We'll see y'all later.
All right,
we'll see
Pflugerville,
you.
man, we appreciate it as always.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. And with that, on the Fans View, KAZI 88.7, Travis Kent alongside Douglas Washington and Jamal January. Going to transition into some NBA talk. Wanted to real quick tag before we get into it a couple things we discussed earlier, and that is Wilt Chamberlain and him being traded. So, Wilt originally started with the Warriors.
Yes.
He was a San Francisco Warrior.
Yes.
Did not get along well with the owner and was shipped out to Philadelphia. Philadelphia, he was there for 4 years, won 3 MVPs, won a title, and requested to be traded. And they sent him to the Lakers. So when you look at those trades, obviously they were imbalanced trades. You're not going to get fair value back for Wilt. But in both cases, Wilt wanted to be moved. I think that's.
Okay.
I think when you talk about the Luka deal, it's it's the fact that yes, Luka didn't give any indication that he wanted to leave Dallas, whereas Wilt kind of said, "Hey, I might be the best player in the league, but I don't like playing for you anymore. If you want me happy, get me out of here." I think that's probably why most people are saying that those moves. And I haven't dug into the Lou Alcindor deal yet. I'll do that at another time.
Yeah.
That might have been similar. That might have also been more of a smaller, because that was Milwaukee to L.A. That might have been one of those small market. The only way you can get value, you're not going to be able to pay and fund this great player. That my guess is we're going to discover that.
He's a New York kid.
Yeah.
And so living in Milwaukee might have been tough. And then during that time, he had just he was really coming into Islam, and maybe he wasn't going to find that in Wisconsin,
Right?
So he's like, "Nah, there's a pocket out in L.A. and that would be good for me too, back in the big city." So that you're right, that might have been some of the parts.
But we do want to get back into some other NBA talk as well, a little bit more on the court, as opposed to the NBA talk we've had up to this point. Do you want to go anywhere first?
I'd like to start with the Lakers-Mavs game,
Okay.
because I was watching it live while I was at a mighty fine eating establishment with the wife, and she let me be distracted. So if I'm gonna be out on a date and pay attention to the game, I better get something out of it and talk about it. Travis, I just want to know what was going through your mind when you were watching it at the start of the game, during the game, and then at the end of the game. If you could help us with that, because we're all living through you. Some of our listeners are Mavs fans, but longtime listeners, we have a love affair with your team.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if we just talk about it from a pure matchup standpoint, like I've. The Mavericks right now are as healthy as they've been since the trade.
Yeah.
Right?
Anthony Davis was in the game.
Exactly. You've got Lively, Gafford, Anthony Davis playing, P.J. Washington. So it's the best. Max Christie is on the court.
Yes, he is.
Klay Thompson's on the court. This is the best you're going to look. I think this game was emblematic, though, of where no Kyrie. By the way, we're looking at, if we're going to talk Nico Harrison and his hope to become this ruler of a team that turns into a championship. We're looking at what, Christmas for Kyrie next year is kind of a best case scenario.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be a team that's going to have to start off next season without Kyrie. And so that's after this move, you had to expect that Nico was counting on 25 plus a night out of Kyrie. And so you got to replace those points somewhere. I just don't know where you're going to replace them from. Anyway, I think what we saw was the gap between the Lakers and the Mavericks.
Yeah.
The Mavericks hung in. It was a back and forth game through most of the game until the team with the better offensive talent made a run to stretch the gap out and win the game. It seemed pretty simple to me. 31 points in the first half for Luka, 45 for the game. Thought that it was a great move to have Luka take foul late in the game so that you could bring him off the court to a standing ovation from the Mavericks fans. So I thought that was
sorry, not to cut you off. Even though the Lakers bench was getting the crowd hype as well.
Yes, I mean, I think that's the point. And you could even see LeBron during the pregame and during the players being announced, being very cognizant of Luka and the emotions he was going through.
Yeah.
The Laker players had to be sitting around going, "We're so lucky to have this guy because these people love him, and they're ready to burn this place down to try to get him back."
Yes.
I mean, that's, and so.
I bet they needed a police escort.
Yeah.
I bet people were waiting outside to watch the bus when he was coming in and going. But
sure.
Yeah, man, that was scary.
Yeah.
Travis, JJ Redick came back in the press conference and said he was mad that Luka didn't drop 50.
Yeah.
And you said, coincidentally, possibly, that you root for Luka. You want him to drop 50, but you don't want the Lakers to win.
Yeah.
Should he have gotten 50? I know they took him out with 134 to go.
Yeah. No,
Did that hurt as much as he scored? Does that hurt even more to drop 45?
No. I mean, Luka did what he set out to do. I got to be honest. I think the entire I don't know how much it was a concerted effort from JJ Redick down, or whether it was more of a LeBron, the leader, just kind of said, "Luka, just take any shot you want." Just sort of we just watched everything that went on.
Yes.
If you've got the ball in your hands, whatever you do with it, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
And he 31 points in the first half, right? And so, and then it kind of, he ends up with 45.
Yep.
He spent a little bit more time on the bench in the second half than he did the first half. I think overall the point got across of letting Nico see what he gave up. But I think the question then transitions to, they still don't have a big man in LA.
They do not.
So does this makes them a really good basketball team. LeBron and Luka on the court makes them a great basketball team.
Yes.
Do they have enough to overcome the Thunder or the Rockets? It's so tightly packed in the Western Conference.
Can I ask you guys a question? Is LeBron the center? Because he was the leading rebounder in that game. Mm-hmm. We always say, because he's officially a power forward now. When he first came in the league, we thought he was a small forward, and so that's another reason why they wanted to get rid of Anthony Davis, because they were like, well, we got two power forwards, and so there's one that we're clearly going to keep. Is he the center on that team, technically?
So you bring up a great question, Jamal. I want to get your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah.
For his entire career, we've essentially thought of LeBron as a point forward, right?
Yes.
Right.
The genius of, and whether it was luck or whether it was true genius, I'll let everyone decide on their own. Bringing Austin Reeves in, 3 years ago, to be a true point guard so that you can still have LeBron take the ball anytime he wants. But when you don't, you give it to Austin Reeves, and you've got a legit point guard, and you can run whatever offense you want to run, and put LeBron with. If you want to put him at the 2, I don't care. If you want to put him at the 3, the 4, but you're probably right. He probably is their rebounding presence at this point. Jackson Hayes. I mean, I don't know how many minutes a night Jackson's playing, but he's. I thought when he left Texas early, he would have been better served. He was just a little raw. And he could have been more refined, but he was so freaking athletic. I think every NBA scout was telling him, you got to go learn how to play at the next level while you're getting paid, not down here where you're not getting paid, right?
Yeah, I kind of think of Jackson Hayes as like a John Collins. Kind of just a slasher that can really get you dunks. Not really known for their rebounding abilities.
Doesn't do that dirty work.
But I guess you can say LeBron is their center at the moment. I think that is going to kind of hurt him a little bit in the playoffs because, like how you mentioned, he was a point forward because we saw that from him when he had that big man lineup with when they were in the bubble with Dwight Howard, with Anthony Davis, and I could think I'm wrong. Somebody else was on that team too.
Yeah, but, I'd have to go back and look. I don't.
Sorry, I was tapping the table. Okay. But at the moment he is their. I guess you can say he is their center at the moment. But like I said, I think that's going to hurt him in the playoffs later down the line.
Before we go off, because we're still on Lakers, Mavs. Travis, I wanted to just throw some names at you here and just get your opinion. I was thinking of who are because Kyrie is twitchy, but let's just say fast NBA players who tore their ACLs. Because what's going to happen on the other side? Derrick Rose.
Yikes.
Russell Westbrook didn't tear his ACL, but it was a torn meniscus. Still pretty significant. Zach LaVine, Jamal Murray, Baron Davis, Ricky Rubio. And then Sean Livingston, I think we all saw that one.
We've seen that one. But I want you to notice, you said fast, twitchy players, and you threw in Jamal Murray.
Yeah. Isn't he athletic?
Athletic, yeah.
To get his shot off, because he's not a big guy.
Yeah.
I was hesitant on that, because we think of his shooting and his scoring, but we don't think of him breaking people's ankles. But he's adequate. And he can run the offense. He's fast enough to run the offense. So, Travis, all those names, there probably are other ones, but those are the ones that I could really find who had long careers, and then their careers took a trajectory after that. How do you feel about Kyrie after this?
Realistically, I'm going to be very surprised if Kyrie doesn't have to change some parts of his game and adapt to however he feels when he comes back from the injury. And it's not even necessarily because it's an ACL, because I think if Kyrie at 24 or 25 tore his ACL, we'd be having a completely different discussion about what we felt like his was going to come back as. But he's going to be 33 when he comes back.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't know. Wow. Oh, yeah, because in my mind – Kyrie talking smack to Kobe at the Olympics practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, once again, I'm not trying to go back to the trade, right?
Yeah.
But next season, Kyrie will finish at 33 years old, and Anthony Davis will be 34 years old when the season ends.
Golly.
Jeez.
And this is what you banked on by trading away 25-year-old Luka Doncic.
Yep.
So that's...
So it was JaVale McGee was the other guy for the Lakers in the bubble. Jamal, you were asking their big men.
Thank you.
So
McGee.
JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard.
Is that where the Shaq and the Fool really started?
Yes. Yeah. And they had Devontae Cook. If you remember, they had Devontae Cook as a center, even though he was 6'7", but he weighed 240. So
I mean, Shaq just loved to make fun of JaVale McGee.
Yes. Until JaVale McGee's mom said, "You better stop."
He did. She did. That's right.
He stopped.
That's right.
And he went back to Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
And now he trolls Spider-Man Mitchell, saying that you can't win anything with him to his face, like when they were on set. And Spider-Man took the high road, and he said, okay, and then kind of let it go. Yeah, Shaq. I feel like Shaq's hating because he's also in the news right now making comments. And when do the old guys just have to shut up, Travis?
That's a good question because Shaq. I feel like Shaq even runs his mouth now more than Barkley does. Like Barkley used to be the one that took shots I just feel like Shaq has more solid, like, I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird how the roles have changed between the two of them. But I want to talk about this Western Conference now. The Thunder and Rockets are locked into the 1 and 2 seeds.
Yes.
And then from the Lakers are at third, 49 and 31. And then you got 48 and 32, 48 and 32, 47 and 33. Yeah. That goes from Nuggets, Clippers, Warriors. And you even go, the Grizzlies and Timberwolves are in the 7 and 8 spot by virtue of tiebreakers to the Warriors.
These last two games matter.
So these last couple of games of the season matter. Who would benefit more by being able to get into a home court situation out of the group that right now would be, like right now, the Clippers would be on the road against the Nuggets, the Warriors on the road against the Lakers. Obviously, the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves are the play-in teams right now, so then they'd have to go on the road to the Thunder, the Rockets. So if you were able to go 2-0 and somebody stumble and you're able to jump from 6, 7, 8 and get into the 3 or 4 slot, because that's what we're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Who would benefit more and who would it hurt the most if they fell out, if they have to go on the road?
I think it's going to take the Lakers have clinched, but if they drop, let's say, these last 2 games, I think it hurts them.
Yep. I would agree.
And you need that home crowd, because if Stephen Curry has to come in to your crowd, although not the crowds affect him, and that probably hypes him up even more, you're going to need some home cooking to deal with that guy.
I mean, what if you're the 5 seed Lakers going on the road against the Nuggets?
Oh, mile high.
I mean that doesn't sound like a good matchup to me.
No, it doesn't.
You've got some young guys on your team that don't feel well. Maybe this is a reeling Nuggets now that they fired their coach. Maybe that takes a little of the edge off.
Yeah,
is this the same Nuggets since the firing? We're still trying to figure that out right now.
We are, but I mean, it's still, they still got, the reigning MVP, right? Is he the reigning? Don't care.
I would have taken anything you would have said about him. The GOAT.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know which way I wanted to go with his comments about it. Exactly.
the best player in the NBA. I would have taken all that.
But they still got Jokic, and you still got to deal with that. So I just think that's a rough matchup for LA if they have to go on the road.
And playoff Jamal Murray is different, way different.
I think I guess it comes down to the Clippers.
Man, nobody worried about the
Clippers.
Because
they have Kawhi, and we know what Kawhi can do, so he's deadly. Yeah. But we're just banking on his health, and you're hoping, because you're not going to play him 40 minutes in the playoffs, right? So I would want to play the Clippers in hopes of them load managing Kawhi. Maybe there's a game he can't play.
There's a game he won't play.
Oh,
think about that too.
Oh, that too.
Just because it is Kawhi,
So I think that's who you want, Travis. I think.
Yeah. I think the team that and now look, the Warriors, Grizzlies, and Timberwolves are in a tough spot because they're 2 games behind the Lakers, just 1 game behind the Nuggets and Clippers. But with just a couple of games left in the season, jumping a team means that you have to hope that they go 0-2 and you go 2-0.
Yeah.
Still think it's unlikely. If Golden State found their way to the 4 seed and got a home series, I think that makes them ultimately a much more potent basketball team.
Can I say, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. Are we in a golden age of some beautiful basketball out west that we're treated to this, that these last 2 games of the season matter? And we just named, I know a lot of people don't have a lot of confidence in Houston, but everyone that we mentioned, not counting Houston, man, you got to worry about that. They have a legitimate shot to make it to the finals.
You know, I'm sad that Corey's not here this week because I feel like we are doing a bit of a disservice to the Rockets by not talking about the. But we're not talking about the Thunder either. Yeah. But we all think the Thunder are the best team in the West, right?
Yeah, we do.
So that's
we do.
But if we say if we all say we believe the Thunder are the best team in the conference, does that mean we necessarily are all saying that we believe that the Rockets are the second best team?
I do.
Okay.
I have been a fan.
Okay.
I'm still a fan because remember I said last week I want them to make it to the finals to play the Celtics. I do want that to happen. I have been a fan of that team. Of course, it's just the proof is in the pudding. They gotta prove it. They gotta do it.
They've made such a huge step this year and stepping up in class that it's hard to imagine that they're going to go from middle of the road, in fact, probably below the middle of the road, to upper tier, and in the same year, deep playoff run. That just, to me, that's a lot to accomplish in one season.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean they can't do it, but, you know, they're going to be looking at, yes, are they likely going to be able to get past the Grizzlies or the Timberwolves? Likely, yes, but you know, I just think that they to me look like the team that's going to be in a battle every series.
Yeah, I see. If you're a Rockets fan, don't get mad at me because I respect y'all, and the reason I respect you, every team we've mentioned, except for Oklahoma, save Oklahoma Thunder, there's a better road record for the Rockets than those teams. And that's the measure of, because we keep calling them a young team. Yeah. As a young team, like, are you young? Because y'all are pulling together and y'all are playing for each other. And so you're a real team. And I want to just say that. Houston is a real team because we don't even know who the superstar is.
Right.
I think we talked about that last week.
You don't think it's Sagon?
You don't sound confident. Because I thought it was Jalen Green. That's who I drafted on my fantasy team instead of Sagon. I didn't go for him. But as I had him on my roster all year, I realized, he's not the guy. And I wish I would have got Sagon. But
that actually might be a good thing for them, though.
I think it is. I really think it is.
Like you said, they're all young. Well, minus Frederick.
Yes.
Van Vliet. But they're still young, so they'll listen to the coach.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great coach to listen to. If there's going to be anything that we say about these Rockets, no matter how this turns out, I just don't want to blame them if they lose. I want them. I don't want us to treat them how we treated the Boston Celtics when they first got together with Tatum and Brown. I don't want to do that. That's why I'm hesitant. Yeah. Because that was wrong. Because they were winning. And no one wins the NBA championship every single year. These are not your Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, and these are not the Bulls teams. So if they make it to the finals this year and they don't win, but they come back next year, that's good living. So, yeah, you're right, Travis. I don't think we're treating the Houston Rockets fair.
Yeah, and I'm not in a position to treat them any more fairly because I got to be honest that I haven't seen them play very much this year.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting to have them on my radar this year, and even as I watched them play well, to start the season off on that torrid pace they were on.
Yeah.
I just kind of in the back of my mind thought, well, they'll start to tail off.
Hey, Travis, how come over these couple years you don't seem to take disdain with them since you're from Dallas area, you're a Mavs fan, you don't ever really seem to rejoice when they're down. No. Why is that? Are you just a true Texan?
We just
when it comes to that?
We dislike the Spurs more than we do the Rockets.
Oh.
We're focusing all our efforts on disliking the Spurs.
Because the Spurs won all those rings with Tim Duncan.
And they knocked us out of the playoffs several times. Yeah.
Okay. So one last question, because, I'm not from Texas. When the Rockets and the Dream went back-to-back, how'd y'all feel in Dallas to see that? Were y'all fans?
Yeah, I was a fan. I was a big fan of, obviously, Phi Slamma Jamma.
Yeah.
So I certainly was a fan of Akeem and Clyde and with the Rockets.
Okay.
So I had zero issues with them taking. Now, I did go, these are non-Jordan finals, right?
Yeah.
But so I got my dig in, but I was still happy to see them win titles.
Okay.
So, hey, we need to get to a break on the Fans View, KAZI 88.7, Travis Kent, Douglas Washington, Jamal January, 512-836-2887 if you want to get your call in the last half hour of the show.
I want some Rocket fans to call in. Please, please call in.
Yeah, were we fair or are we unfair?
Eastern Conference. Let's talk a little Eastern Conference if we can. Cleveland on top of the Eastern Conference.
Do you believe?
Celtics a few games back. So, once again, much like the Rockets, Cleveland gets off to a torrid start off the season. It was nearly record, or was it record-breaking?
They did things that LeBron didn't even do.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so, a fantastic start to the season. Had a little lull where they did drop. I don't know. They had a little losing streak, and then they went on like another 12-game win streak. And you're like, okay, I guess, okay, all right, you're good, all right.
Playing with their food.
Here's a situation where I think most pundits, maybe all of us here, I don't know. I'll get you guys' take on it. Still believe that Boston's the best team in the East? Or do you think that it's more up for grabs than that? I mean, look, here's the thing about the East. And this is no disrespect to Jalen Brunson, no disrespect to Rick Carlisle and the Pacers. But the Celtics and the Cavaliers are both pretty far outpacing the rest of the pack in the Eastern Conference. It's pretty hard to argue. Outside of what I would say, maybe the Knicks are the most dangerous team. But I've also seen Rick Carlisle and the Pacers step up and have be pretty pesky as well.
They beat the Cavs the other day.
Exactly. But right now, the Cavs and the Celtics. If we're going to say the season is a long enough sample size to prove to us that they're good, I'm going to say that they're my picks to, if not easily, maybe fairly easily meet up in the conference championship.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
I'm okay with that. I am a believer of the Cavs. I believe in that team. I believe in their coach. I believe I believe that what they did was not smoke and mirrors. 63 wins. I respect that.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I want to give them everything. I just want people to know they're not just a team led by Spider-Man Mitchell.
They sure aren't.
They have Jared Allen, who will go grab every board that isn't chained down, and he will take his teeth and gnaw at that chain to try to get that ball free if it is chained down. And you need one of those guys on your team, and so that grit travels. So they're gonna be hell home and away. They have DeAndre Hunter, who has something to prove. Atlanta let him go because they had the number 2 pick They brought Rissaker out of France. Rissaker was a good draft pick. He's doing a good job, but they just let that brother go. So he's got something to prove, and he'll drop 23 and 10 on you. He'll double in a heartbeat. He dropped 23 and 11 in that game against Indiana the other day, and they only lost by 2. Spider-Man was not in that game. And then I just want to drop one other little thing. They have this guy named Ty Jerome. He's a guard, and I picked him up in fantasy, and he is legit. Any night, Travis, this guy could drop 27, and I'm not exaggerating, because in that game against Indiana, and I'm just trying to get to the most recent game they played, people, he dropped 24 points, 6 assists. So he's also which means when they pass, shoot, and dribble, they're deadly, because if you slink off, he's going to shoot. If he can go past you and he can pass, he can go past you and he can pass, and he went 4 for 6 from 3. So I respect that roster.
The roster is complete. For sure. It's their bench. Their bench is like outclassing a lot of other teams' bench.
Why you had to go and
but like I'm saying like
about that.
I'm just saying like Ty Jerome, you mentioned Sam Murrell on that bench as well. There's someone else. Some Max Drewish sometimes will come off the bench when he's not starting. Like they have the guys and that can put up numbers when your starters are out. So.
Here's the thing for me with the Celtics and the Cavaliers, that if I'm just going to be sort of stats nerd and be the guy that's going to tell you that my interest in watching NBA games fell off the cliff about 10 or 11 weeks ago, right? Yeah. But I'm going to now extrapolate numbers out and tell you why I think that I'm confident that Cavs and Celtics are 1 and 2 and are going to meet. Yeah. And that is, in conference, the Cavaliers are 40 and 10, Boston's 37 and 13. That means against the Western Conference, Cleveland went 23 and 7 and Boston went 22 and 8.
Facts.
So, if I'm going to tell you that the Western Conference is far superior to the Eastern Conference on an average basis, then I have to give you credit, Boston and Cleveland, for going out and taking care of business when you did play the Western Conference. By virtue of the Knicks are 17 and 13 against the Western Conference. Not bad, a winning record. The Pacers actually 21 and 10. The Pacers actually did better overall against the Western Conference than you would have thought. But that's just the way Cleveland and the Celtics, the way they performed against the West, is just head and shoulders above the rest of the conference.
I want people to think about what we're saying here is that you have two teams that show all the promise in the world. We're bringing up the baggage. We're bringing in the baggage. We know that the Celtics have been to the finals and then have won the finals. And then we're respecting the Cleveland Cavaliers because they're number one. Right. The New York Knicks, I don't know if Brunson was healthy, how that would have turned out last year. Yeah. We don't know. Right. And we'll never know. And so Jalen Brunson's story is still far from being told. Yeah. And if he can stay healthy through the playoffs, I think he's hungry, and I think that team wants it for him too.
So I do want to question one other team down the list right now, and that is, where are we on this Milwaukee franchise and Giannis's career? Did they have a run in them, or is he not the same Giannis, or is he still a really good Giannis but not enough supporting cast around him? You guys have any thoughts on Milwaukee?
I think not enough supporting cast around him.
That's where I'm at. Dame is still trying to deal with his blood clot. And I don't know if he's going to get back. See, when you have that blood clot, listeners, you can't run up and down the court. So now we got 2 games left for the majority of these teams, to include Milwaukee, and you got to come back, get in shape, and play playoff minutes. Playoffs? Like this is this is a hard time for Dame when he comes back to get back. And so, Travis, I just think this is not going to be the year for Giannis.
And the reason I say that too, like early in the season when the Bucks played the Cavs, right? Remember I mentioned the bench.
Yes, sir.
The Cavs bench combined for a total of, I think that says 10 points. 10 points, right?
Yeah.
Cleveland's bench combined for a total of, that's a lot of numbers to count. But just it was way more than 10. I'll say that. And then you look at the Giannis had 30, Dame had 22, Kyle Kuzma had 14, Taurean Prince had 6. Those are the starters I just named, by the way. It's just like the Cavs were like a well more completed team, like I said earlier, and Giannis can't do it by himself, man. I mean, the only time that actually he tried to do that against who was it? They beat in the playoffs, Phoenix, right? Yeah, he did, and it worked against Phoenix, but this Eastern Conference is a lot more stronger, and then the Western Conference is way more stronger than the prior years. So it's just going to be a little tough.
You know, a little overshadowed this season because of what Houston's done is what Detroit's done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I mean, it's.
I think people still don't believe it. People are thinking, we're probably in the Matrix or something.
I mean, Detroit was a team last year that we were like, are they going to get the 10 wins?
Mm-hmm. Don't be that team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to give I do want to give Detroit props, not only solidly in the in fact I think they've clinched the 6th spot. Like I don't think that they can be knocked. No, they can't. They got a 4-game lead, so they're going to be the 6th seed and not have to play in the playing game. So all right, so we do have a caller calling in, so we're going to jump into the phones. Hey caller, you there? Travis. Yes, sir.
Hey, I don't mean no harm, but Douglas, this is your time for NBA, man. Hey, Douglas been talking about NBA for the last 2 hours, man. He'll talk about, but Douglas, this is your time, man. Enjoy yourself, brother.
Put me in, coach.
Hey, when football comes up, we don't want to hear about no NBA now.
Oh, I know.
Hey, I'll see y'all later, man.
All right, Mr. Oklahoma, we appreciate it.
So to your point, he was at the Mavericks organization. Tim Hardaway Jr. came over to the Pistons, and he found a home.
Yeah.
They're letting him, he's getting 14, 15 shots a game. In his last game against the Sacramento Kings, they did lose, though. But out of his 15 shots, 11 were three-pointers. Bro, just shoot it. Be our Klay Thompson, since they brought in Klay Thompson and let you go. We'll let you be Klay Thompson here. And so he found a home where he's at. I want to give you another quick name, too, that they have. Have you ever heard of Marcus Sasser?
Yes.
He's on that team, and he's got something to prove. He's just getting some points here and there. Malik Beasley, ever heard of that name? Nice, wily veteran, and he's found himself a home. Malik Beasley played at Florida State. He's been in the league just about 10 years now. So he's found a home. He's only 28 years in the game, shooting guard. They have taken some guys that have been overlooked, and I like what they're doing. I am a fan of the Detroit Pistons. I'm officially on the bandwagon because they're not going to have a losing season. They're 44-36, so they've done what they needed to do. They've turned it around. I was going to make a joke about the brother, but wherever the Thompson boys go, teams change. Amen. I'm sorry. That's what it comes down to. Oh, and I don't want to take it away from him. Cade Cunningham is the real deal. Yeah. I think we missed. When I say we, I'm going to say me.
And me as well.
We missed. I did not think he should have been the first pick back in 2021 when he was. I was like, huh? Coming out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
I mean, if you was that good, you would have been somewhere else. You know, it's easy to say that. He was only 6'6". I didn't know he was going to turn out to be this kind of a player.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed. Good job, Pistons.
Yeah, it's Marcus Sasser. Of course, Marcus Sasser out of the Dallas area.
No, look at that. Threw it alley-oop.
Went to U of H, Played at U of H. In high school, he played for his uncle, Jason Sasser, the former standout at Texas Tech, who also spent some time in the league as well.
Yeah, he did.
So
yeah.
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible. So Travis, if you're impressed with them, Tyrese Halliburton was on that Olympic team, got a gold medal. Are you sold that he's a superstar, or are we going with your ex-coach Rick Carlisle? Why are the Pacers so good?
I give Rick Carlisle a lot of credit for the Pacers.
Yeah.
I give them a lot of credit.
Because Tyrese was hurt for a good stretch this year.
Yes, he was. He was. I just, as frustrated at times as I got post-championship with Rick Carlisle, and as much as I don't think Rick Carlisle liked coaching the way that you needed to coach with Luka on your roster. That doesn't take away from the fact that with a more balanced roster, that Rick Carlisle is an excellent basketball coach.
Okay.
And I think he's done a really, really good job at Indiana.
Yeah. When you think of the teams that are out there, I think we're getting into some coaching here on the East, since we're talking about the East. And Rick Carlisle having that number 4 team, New York Knicks, they got Mr. Old School himself. Looked like he just looks like, if you look at him wrong in practice, we're all running suicides.
Right.
And then you start to fade when it comes to the carousel of the Milwaukee Bucks franchise. They get rid of Budenholzer. They bring in Doc, but Doc has been around, and so he's a seasoned coach. So because of that, I don't want to count any of those teams off, because I do like good coaching. And I'm going to give, I don't really want to say this about Doc, but I'm going to give all of those guys good coaching backing. I'm going to say with that coaching, anything's possible. Because I was in Boston when that happened. Yeah. Anything's possible.
Hey, just an interesting note I wanted to bring up. We've got a few minutes left here. Trae Young with Atlanta. Did you see the news, what is it, about a week and a half ago now?
Yep, I got it. That was a topic I wanted to get to. Didn't make it.
Trae Young was named is he general manager or assistant general manager?
Yeah. I got it queued up.
Of Oklahoma basketball.
Assistant general manager of the Oklahoma Sooners men's basketball program, his alma mater, while also announcing a $1 million donation to support the team.
So he's still active in the NBA and now has a job with the basketball program. Now, I think there have been a lot of players who have behind this, Kevin Durant, I think, still comes back and practices with teams. I think they'll call him and go, hey, we have a recruit who's interested in stopping by. Can you fly down here and make an appearance? I think there's a lot of guys who help out their programs any way they can. I don't know that I've ever heard of someone taking an actual job with responsibility while they're still playing.
It's funny you say that.
Okay.
Earlier this month, or last month, Stephen Curry set a precedent. He was the first by becoming the first active player in major U.S. professional sports to accept an administrative role with an NCAA team, joining Davidson College, his alma mater, as assistant general manager. So he did it first.
Okay, so I completely missed that. I apologize. I completely missed that note. So
now there's 2.
So now let's see if this becomes a trend.
I know.
Would anybody put it past, let's just talk about UT. Would you bring in LaMarcus Aldridge or Kevin Durant and put them in that same type of role?
I feel like there's a difference, though, because Davidson, smaller program, and Oklahoma, I mean, when have we, aside from the Trae Young years, when have we really respected Oklahoma basketball nationally? Yeah. I know y'all are always looking at them here in Texas, but
Blake Griffin.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Oh, and Buddy Hield. Didn't they make the Final Four?
Yeah, and they won a title with.
You're right.
They won a title with Billy Tubbs as coach back in the 80s. They beat Indiana, right? Keith Smart's team, Keith Smart's Indiana team didn't. I think Oklahoma beat that team.
Oh wow.
So is it? I think it can happen if the coach is okay with it and doesn't want to be overshadowed by that player.
I guess.
I think that's got to factor in too.
So here's the thing: is if you read there's like another paragraph of something I read where it talked about what his responsibilities were going to be, and it's like negotiating NIL deals.
Yeah, he evaluates high school and transfers prospects, assists in negotiating player agreements within the NCAA and conference rules, and contributes to fundraising efforts to strengthen the program.
So part one of that is once the NBA season ends. And for Trey, let's face it, it's going to end here pretty soon.
Yes.
AAU summer ball is going to pick up, and he's got all sorts of time to go to all these tournaments and watch these kids play.
Yeah.
So that checks off one right there. He's got there's no issues with him doing that. And then the recruiting cycles are going to be off. They're not able to participate maybe as much in the actual recruiting during the season. It'll be a lot of summer recruiting.
Yeah.
And the NIL deals, well, obviously he's got a deep pocket, so he's going to be writing some of the checks. And so at least that checks out from that standpoint. But so it'll be interesting to see how this works out for these programs.
How highly ranked was he coming in to college?
He was the number 1 rated point guard, I think.
And he was out of Norman High.
Yeah,
he went from Norman High School to OU, which I think is why this makes perfect sense for OU to do. He's a local kid, exactly. Yeah. Local kid comes to you, doesn't he's not there a long period of time. The way Steph Curry was at Davidson Steph graduated from Davidson, right?
No one wanted him. That's why he went there. Yeah. Even his dad's alma mater, Virginia Tech, who he had been around, because Del Curry goes back there a lot. Yeah. So he spent a lot of time there. They didn't even want to give him a shot. And so he went where he could, just right down the road. Del Curry played for the Charlotte Hornets, so that also put them in that North Carolina area to be seen. But so at Norman North High School, Trae Young averaged 42.6 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 4 assists during his senior year.
Yeah.
42 points.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the greatest high school senior years of all time, outside of Moses Malone, Lou Alcindor, and Wilt.
There was one game he dropped something like stupid. I think it was like 60 or something. There was one. He was just shooting lights out, like left and right.
Is there more talent to be squeezed out of? I want y'all to help me. I actually don't know this. Is there more talent to be squeezed out of Oklahoma, though? Are there other basketball talents? Just off the top of your head, y'all can think of out of Oklahoma. So,
no. Obviously, they don't have the volume of kids in the state, right? But it is sort of basketball is a culture. Oklahoma State has a proud history. They haven't necessarily lived up to that history lately, but when we think of Mo Iba, the legendary coach, or Gene Iba, their court is named after Mo. I think Mo was his son. Gene was the dad. Mo coached at TCU for a little bit. Henry Iba.
Okay.
Henry Iba was the dad. Mo and Gene were their sons. Gene Iba coached at Texas. Mo coached at TCU at some point, but he was an Oklahoma State coach. Really brought them into national prominence, and so, but it's a lot. It's sort of kind of like Indiana, where you just got a bunch of farm boys who are out shooting on hoops out in the middle off their dirt road farm.
That sounds right.
But you just don't have the numbers of kids.
So it's the national appeal is what we're getting from Trae Young.
Right.
So I'll Bryant Big Country Reeves, that was during our time. I know you remember that. Tony Allen, he had a good career. Marcus Smart. They went to Oklahoma State. John Starks. Remember, and now he's from Arizona, but they were able to get him over to Oklahoma. So if you can import some talent, that helps.
Yeah. Trae Young was the number 3 rated point guard at the time. in the class of 2017.
Now you make me wonder who were number 1 and who was number 2.
Colin Sexton and a dude named Jalen Hands.
Okay, so Colin was okay. He went to play at Alabama. He was there during the Avery Johnson time.
Okay.
He coached him at Alabama, and then I don't know what happened to Jalen Hands. You got me on that one.
Literally just dropped off.
Just dropped off. Okay. All right. And then
5-star. 5-star, by the way.
He's playing
Trae
overseas.
Jalen was 5-star? Sheesh.
Yeah. And so was Trae Young. Trae Young was 5-star. Number 23 rated player overall according to ESPN.
How good was Colin Sexton in high school?
He was great. Colin, young bull.
Where did he grow up at?
Colin Sexton grew up in Georgia, Mableton, Georgia.
I missed that.
Pebblebrook High School.
Sheesh.
6'3", 175.
Wow, I missed that.
Jalen Hands is an American professional basketball player for Pallacanestro Verisi of the Lega Basket Serie A.
Sorry,
Travis
Jalen.
with the accent. Hey, man, I gotta clap it up for that, man. That was impressive.
Magnifico.
Oh, that's crazy.
Before we go, I want to ask you guys just something, bringing it back home here. The Masters is going on. There is a baseball player by the name of Ken Griffey Jr. who is credentialed, and he's going to be on the sidelines as a photographer. Now that is really cool. He's a great golfer. He lived down in Owlsworth, had a home down there with Tiger. During those times, that's when I was in college, so I know that area pretty well. I played a lot of golf down there, Travis, because I had some friends that were from there. What do you guys think about a celebrity photographer?
You know, it's interesting. Randy Johnson's also a professional photographer.
Hey,
these days.
that's cool. He's tall. He's all in the
Yeah,
way.
I would venture to guess that he's the tallest professional photographer in the game.
Yeah.
At 6'9".
Yes,
sir. Yeah, you know, it. I would say on one hand, it doesn't surprise me that you hear a lot of people that post-career, and I'm not saying they're retired, like George W. Bush is into painting. He does.
He's really good.
He does paintings, especially of military veterans. He's big on doing that. That when you've had a career, and then you're finding something to fill time. Yeah. Yes, you may be running a charity, and you've got some other things that you're doing. Maybe you're an active speaker on a speaker series. That's all fine and good. But where do you get your outlet? And some form of art is where a lot of people turn. Whether it be you're a guitarist and you want to, Chris Bosch lives here in Austin.
Yeah.
He's got his own recording studio.
You, Travis. You let him cook.
Yeah. So the arts is a great way to get that creativity that you had in your sport to get it out. And so photography is certainly, and I would think that that's a natural fit for Ken Griffey Jr. and especially to go photograph sports that he loves to be a part of. So,
man, you nailed that, Travis. I ain't got nothing to say. I'm not following that.
All right, so we are up against it. We got to get out of here. We appreciate the callers. We appreciate the talk, and we'll see everybody next week.